Okay guys, so I'm going to be doing thermostat housing replacement on this 2003 BMW 330i. So I had to remove the air box from here because all I knew was that it was getting hot, and I needed to get to everything down here, the hoses, the expansion tube container, to see where it was leaking from. So I was able to see that it's leaking from the thermostat housing. So now that this is out of the way, I removed a bolt from here and a bolt, that's actually a clip from here and a bolt from here, so that I can remove this shroud out. But this is not going to come out unless I get the fan out of the way, and that's where this are going to come in handy. This is a 32nd millimeter tool that I'm going to be using to remove it. This one is supposed to hold it in place so that it doesn't spin when you're turning it. The problem is that the holes are not matching what they're supposed to be matching or grabbing from. So what I'm going to do instead is going to be using this prior bar to just put it in between the bolts. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to catch that, but basically what I'm going to do is just put it in between the bolts to hold it from spinning. And then I'm going to, it's a little loose already, but you just kind of pry. Remember, this is a reverse thread, so basically it's going to look like you're tightening it, but it's going to be loosening it. I don't know if it makes sense, but this is a reverse thread. So you go, instead of doing righty tighty, lefty loosey, you're doing it the opposite. And that's only for this one because it's a reverse thread. So I'm just holding it in place so that the water pump doesn't spin, and I'm able to remove the fan. Okay, so this is the new thermostat housing kit. It comes with a thermostat already. So this is the orientation. As you can see, it has 2 bolts up here, 2 bolts down here, 2 bolts up here, and it also has a sensor. So we're gonna remove the sensor, and the way you remove it is by pressing on this little clip, press it in, and then pull up. Okay, it's easier said than done. There we go. It's out of the way. And then again, we're going to be removing 2 bolts from down here, 2 bolts from up here. Okay, so what we're going to be taking out is this 2 bolts that are 10 millimeter. This one is also a 10 millimeter, but this one has, you can see it's bigger. It has a 13 millimeter. So 10, 10, 10, and a 13 millimeter. I'll go ahead and start by removing this 13 from here. Okay, that one's already loose. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this one's up here, down here. There's one more right here. Okay, so before I take out the bolts completely, I'm going to go ahead and remove this hose. This is the upper radiator hose. So we just kind of loosen this up and then wiggle it a little. There's going to be a bunch of water coming out. Now I also have to remove this one down here, the lower one. Same thing. you can see where it's leaking. All of this was leaking down here. So we're gonna do the whole kit replacement. Okay, the other thing I'm gonna take is this bracket. I'm gonna take this bracket out only because I don't know if you can catch it down here, but it has this part down here. This part, it's on the way. That's where the bolt goes. And I don't want to risk just pushing this up and having the this gasket just kind of move out of place. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this one so that I can take that bracket out of the way and then install it once the thermostat housing it's in place. So now this doesn't come all the way out, and I don't want to remove anything else. So all I'm doing is moving it out of the way, leaving enough room for me to put the housing without struggling or risking for the gasket moving out of place. So now I just want to make sure the surface is really clean. There's nothing on the way, no debris, nothing that is going to get in the way of the sealing of the gasket. Now I can just make sure that everything's sitting correctly. Always want to get them started by hand. You don't want to use your ratchet right away. What I'm doing right now is just putting it back together, and what I'm doing is tightening it just a little bit, not all the way, until I feel that it's a little tight, and then I'll move to the next one, trying to do a crisscross pattern. So tightening one side and then move to the next one, and not tightening all the way, just going little by little. This one's a little tight already. I'll move to this one. You have to remember, this is plastic, so you don't want to tighten it too much. I really don't know the specs for this one, but I'm just gonna do it so I feel that it's snug in there, and then give it a little more without going all the way and breaking it. How do you know if you went too far? When you break it, then you know you went too far. So always a turn before it breaks. That's a good way to do it. Okay. Alrighty, feels pretty good there. Okay, we're gonna make sure to connect this one. back in here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and connect the hoses. And this one, what I like to do for the hoses is close the clamp and then just put it in there until it clicks. Okay, just like that. Same thing for this one, make sure it's close and then push it all the way in until it clicks. Okay, so I want to put the fan back. I just have to remember that this has to go back in as one unit. Everything has to be together like this, making sure that these legs go into the little hole at the bottom. So we're gonna put it in as a unit. Okay, now that that one's in, let's tighten this fan a little. Just kind of get it started. So the way I found out, or it's kind of easier to put this on, is just grab it from both sides of the fan, kind of put it straight, sit it there, and then I just start giving a little twist with this one. Remember, this is a reverse thread, so you have to kind of be loosening it in order for it to tie down or it starts grabbing. So just a few turns. Once it's sitting there, then I just spin this thing over. You can see it starts going in. Now you can pick up that it's moving more in and in. Once it's there and it's not spinning anymore, then I have to hold it. So you hold it there. Gonna do it.
speaker part.
Okay, when right before you put your coolant in there, make sure to remove this one. This is it's plastic, and this is the bleeder. I don't know if you call it bleeder, but this will get all the air out. You have to put your coolant all the way until it starts leaking from here. Once it starts leaking from here, that means it's full already. So now that once it starts coming out of here, that means you have enough. I'm just gonna put just a little more, but it's gonna start leaking from there. Once it leaks from there, you're good. That's enough. That's all you need.